Hi all. So in previous video we discussed World War II, Holocaust, Jewish immigration, United Nations partition plan, Civil War, War of Independence and armistice agreements. In present video we will discuss nationalization of Suez Canal, 1967 Arab-Israel War or that Six-Day War, Yom Kippur War, Camp David Accord and Lebanon War and First Intifada. So, within 3 years of establishment of Israel, between 1948 to 51, immigration doubled the Jewish population of Israel, and this left an indelible imprint on Israeli society. Overall, 700,000 Jews settled in Israel during this period. I told you the population at the time of the establishment of nation was 6 lakh 50,000. Yani 6.5 lakh population was there in when this country Israel was established. And in next 3 years, 7 lakh more Jews came. So population nearly doubled. And same time in next 2 years, between 48 to 50 or like between 47 to 49, around 7 lakh Arab Palestinians were expelled from this area. So you can see very interesting figures. Population of Israel was 6.5 lakh at the time of independence. They expelled more than 7 lakh Israelis out of the 7 lakh Arab Palestinians out of that area. And in next 2 3 years, 7 lakh more Jews settled. So population doubled. Out of these 7 lakh Jews, 3 lakh came from Asian and North African nations. Rest came from Europe, including Eastern Europe, mainly from Romania and Poland. In 1950, the Knesset is the Parliament of Israel. Knesset passed the law of return. What was that? It granted to all Jews and those of Jewish ancestry, who were having Jewish grandparent. It granted all Jews and those of Jewish ancestry and their spouses the right to settle in Israel and gain citizenship. So this was a huge development. Every Jew is allowed to come there and settle. So that year, also 50,000 Yemenite Jews were secretly flown to Israel. And then in 1951, Iraqi Jews were granted temporary permission to leave the country. So around 90% of the Iraqi Jews, that was 1.2 lakh Jews, opted to move to Israel. Jews also fled from Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. So by the late 60s, about 5 lakh Jews had left Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. Over the course of 20 years, some 8.5 lakh Jews from Arab countries relocated to Israel, France, and America. Majority of them, 6.8 lakh, settled in Israel. The land and property left behind by the Jews is still a matter of some dispute. Between 1948 and 1958, the population of Israel rose from 8 lakh to 2 million, that is 20 lakh. So, in 1956, the increasingly pro-Soviet president Nasser of Egypt announced the nationalization of the Suez Canal, which was French and British owned. Egypt also blocked the Gulf of Aqaba, preventing Israeli access to Red Sea. Gulf of Aqaba, it is in like beyond that Negev desert. The Israeli made a secret agreement with the French to coordinate military operations against Egypt. Britain and France had already begun secret preparation for military action. Britain and France arranged for Israel to give them a pretext for seizing the Suez Canal. Israel was to attack Egypt, and Britain and France would then call on both sides to withdraw. Then, as expected, the Egyptians refused. Anglo-French force would take control of canal. This was the plan. Israeli forces commanded by General Moshe Dayan attacked Egypt on 29th October 1956. On 30 October, Britain and France made their pre-arranged call for both parties to stop fighting and withdraw from canal area, and for them to be allowed to take up positions at key points on the canal. But as expected, Egypt refused, and the Allies commenced airstrike on 31st October, aimed at neutralizing the Egyptian Air Force. By November 5, the Israelis had overrun the Sinai Peninsula, which was under Egyptian control. The Anglo-French invasion began that day. There was uproar at the United Nations, with the US and USSR for in agreement to denounce the actions of Israel, Britain, and France. A demand for ceasefire was reluctantly accepted on 7th November. So, at Egypt's request, the UN sent an emergency force consisting of 6,000 peacekeeping troops from 10 nations to supervise the ceasefire. And interestingly, this was the first ever UN peacekeeping operation. From 15 November, the UN troops marked out a zone across the Sinai to separate the Israeli and Egyptian forces. Upon receiving US guarantees of Israeli access to Suez Canal, freedom of access to Gulf of Aqaba, and Egyptian action to stop Palestinian raids from Gaza, these three guarantees were given. Okay, Israeli will have the access to Suez Canal, they will have access to Gulf of Aqaba that was stopped by Egypt, and Egyptian action to stop Palestinian raids from Gaza. After these three securities, Israelis withdrew from the Negev. In practice, the Suez Canal remained closed to Israeli shipping. The conflict marked the end of West European dominance in the Middle East because both British and France now have no say in this area. The Israeli political leadership learned that Israel had a limited time frame within which to operate militarily, after which international political pressure would restrict Israel's freedom of action. So they learned this. We have very small time window under which we have to decisively act. After that, international pressure will come, and this is applicable in all wars that will happen in future. In 1964, Israeli rabbinical authorities also accepted that the Bene Israeli of India were indeed Jews, and most of the remaining Indian Jews now migrated to Israel. 17th May 1967, Syria, Egypt, and Jordan amassed troops along the Israeli borders secretly, and Egypt closed the Straits of Tyre to Israeli shipping. On 26 May, Nasser declared that this battle will be a general one and our basic objective will be to destroy Israel. Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Iraq signed defense pact and Iraqi troops began deploying to Jordan, Syria and Egypt. Algeria also announced that it would send troops to Egypt to fight Israel. Israel responded by calling up its civilian reserves, bringing much of the Israeli economy to a halt. Interestingly, during a national radio broadcast, the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Levi Eshkol, he stammered, causing widespread fear in Israel. To calm public concerns, Moshe Dayan, who is Moshe Dayan? He was the chief of army during the Sinai War. So, to calm public concern in Israel, Moshe Dayan was appointed defense minister. On the morning before Dayan was sworn in, 5th June 1967, the Israeli Air Force launched preemptive strikes against Egyptian Air Force, destroying Egyptian Air Force. Then later the same day, they destroyed air forces of Jordan and Syria also. Israel then defeated successively Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. By 11 June, the Arab forces were routed and all parties had accepted the ceasefire called by UN National Council. So within 6 days, this battle was won by Israel. So this is also called Six-Day War. Israel gained control of the Sinai Peninsula, the Gaza Strip, the Golan Heights, and the formerly Jordanian controlled west bank of the Jordan River. East Jerusalem was arguably annexed by Israel. Residents were given permanent residency status and the option of applying for Israeli citizenship. The annexation was not recognized internationally. Other areas occupied remained under military rule, pending a final settlement. The Golan was annexed in 1981. Then, on 22nd November 1967, the Security Council of UN adopted a resolution called the Land of Peace Formula, which called for the establishment of a just and lasting peace based on Israeli withdrawal from territories occupied in 1967 in return for the ends of all states of belligerency, respect for the sovereignty of all states in the area, and the right to live in peace with secure recognized boundaries. The resolution was accepted by both sides, though with different interpretations. And this land of peace formula has been the basis of all subsequent peace negotiations between these both parties. After 1967, the US began supplying Israel with aircraft And in protest, Soviet bloc except Romania broke off relations with Israel. For the first time after this war, for the first time, let us first discuss this area. Before war, on June 5th, 1967, this area was under Israel. This is West Bank was under Syria, and this Gaza Strip was under Egypt. This West Bank was under Jordan, not Syria, it's Jordan. After this war, Israel occupied this Golan Heights from Syria, West Bank from Jordan, and this Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. So after 5 6 days on June 11, this became the this Israeli area. After this war, for the first time since the end of the British Mandate, Jews could visit the old city of Jerusalem and pray at the Western Wall, that is the holiest site in Judaism. The 4-meter wide public alley beside the wall was expanded into a massive plaza, and worshippers were allowed to sit or to use other furniture for the first time in centuries. On the other side, in Hebrew, Jews gained access to the cave of the patriarchs because now they won this West Bank, so Hebrew is in West Bank. Jews gained access to cave of patriarchs, that is the second most holy site in Judaism, for the first time since 14th century. Previously, Jews were only allowed to pray at the entrance. So after 600 years, they again gained access to cave of patriarchs. A third Jewish holy site, the Rachel's tomb in Bethlehem, also became accessible. The Sinai oil fields made Israel self-sufficient in energy. In March 1968, Israeli forces again attacked the Palestinian militia Fatah at its base in the Jordanian town of Kamra. That time Fatah was operating from Jordan. The attack was in response to landmines placed on Israeli roads. The Israeli retreated after destroying the camp. However, the Israelis sustained unexpectedly high casualty and the attack was not viewed as success. Despite heavy casualties, the Palestinians claimed victory while Fatah and the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. Fatah was part of PLO, so Fatah and PLO became famous across the Arab world. In early 1969, fighting broke out between Egypt and Israel along the Suez Canal again. And in retaliation for repeated Egyptian shelling of Israeli positions along the Suez Canal, Israeli planes made deep strike into Egypt in the 1969-1970 War of Attrition. Now, Yom Kippur War. Yom Kippur. What is Yom Kippur? Is a this holiest day in Jewish calendar. So what happened? At the 1972 Munich Olympic, two members of the Israeli team were killed and nine members taken hostage by Palestinian terrorists. A botched German rescue attempt led to the death of the rest hostage along with five of the eight hijackers. The three surviving Palestinians were released by the West German authorities 8 weeks later without any charge in exchange of hostages of hijacked Lufthansa Flight 615. The Israeli government responded with an air raid, a raid on the PLO headquarters in Lebanon, and an assassination campaign against the organization of the massacre. This time PLO headquarters was based in Lebanon, South Lebanon. The Yom Kippur War, also known as October War, began on 6th October 1973 on the Jewish Day of Atonement, the holiest day in Jewish calendar, and a day when adult Jews are required to fast. The Syrian and Egyptian armies launched a well-planned surprise attack against the unprepared Israeli defense forces. For the first few days, there was a great deal of uncertainty about Israel's capacity to repel the invaders. Both the Soviets and Americans rushed arms to their allies. The Syrians were repulsed by the tiny remnant of the Israeli tank force on the Golan, and although the Egyptian captured a strip of territory in Sinai Peninsula, but Israeli forces crossed the Suez Canal, trapping the Egyptian Third Army in Sinai and were 100 kilometers from Cairo. The war cost Israel over 2,000 dead, resulted in a heavy arms bill, on both sides and made Israelis more aware of their vulnerability. It also led to heightened superpower tension. Following the war, both Israelis and Egyptians showed greater willingness to negotiate. So on 18 January 94, extensive diplomacy by US Secretary State Henry Kissinger led to disengagement of forces agreement with the Egyptian government and on 31st May with the Syrian government. In November 1977, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat broke 30 years of hostility with Israel by visiting Jerusalem at the invitation of Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Menachem Begin. Sadat's two-day visit included a speech before the Knesset and was a turning point in the history of the conflict. The Egyptian leader created a new psychological climate in the Middle East in which peace between Israel and its Arab neighbors seemed possible. Sadat recognized Israel's right to exist and established the basis for direct negotiation between Egypt and Israel. So this was a huge development. First time some Arab country accepted the Israel's right to exist. In September 1978, US President Jimmy Carter invited President Sadat and Prime Minister Begin to meet him in Camp David, and on 11 September they agreed on a framework for peace between Israel and Egypt and a comprehensive peace in the Middle East. It set out broad principles to guide negotiations between Israel and the Arab states. It also established guidelines for a West Bank Gaza transitional regime of full autonomy for the Palestinians residing in these territories and for a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. The treaty was signed on 26 March 1979 by Begin and Sadat and President Carter signing as witness. Under the treaty, Israel returned the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt in April 1982. The Arab League reacted to the peace treaty by suspending Egypt from organization and moving its headquarters from Cairo to Tunis. Sadat was assassinated in 81 by Islamic fundamentalist member of the Egyptian army who opposed peace with Israel. Following the agreement, Israel and Egypt became the two largest recipients of the US military and financial aid. Obviously, now they have been replaced by Israel, Iraq and Afghanistan. In the decades following the 1948 war, Israel's border with Lebanon was quiet compared to its border with other neighbors. But the 1969 Cairo Agreement gave the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, a free hand to attack Israel from South Lebanon. The area was governed by PLO independently of the Lebanese government and became known as Fatah land because Fatah was the largest faction of the PLO. So this area, South Lebanon, became Fatah land. Palestinian irregulars constantly sailed the Israeli north, especially the town of Kiryat Shmona, which was a Likud party stronghold inhabited primarily by Jews who had fled the Arab world. So lack of control over Palestinian areas was an important factor in causing civil war in Lebanon. In June 1982, the attempted assassination of Shlomo Argo, the ambassador to Britain, was used as a pretext for an Israeli invasion aiming to drive the PLO out of the southern half of Lebanon. The invasion became known as the 1982 Lebanon War, and the Israeli army occupied Beirut, the only time an Arab capital was occupied by Israel. In August 1982, the PLO withdrew its forces from Lebanon and moved to Tunisia. Bashir Gemayel was elected president of Lebanon and reportedly agreed to recognize Israel and sign a peace treaty, but he was assassinated before an agreement could be signed. In 1983, the May 17 agreement was signed between Israel and Lebanon, paving the way for an Israeli withdrawal from Lebanese territory through a few stages. In October 1985, Israel responded to a Palestinian terrorist attack in Cyprus by bombing the PLO headquarters in Tunis. Growing Israeli settlement and continuing occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip led to the first Palestinian Intifada. Intifada means uprising in 1987, which lasted until the Oslo Accord, which was signed in 1993. So, this was in this present video. In next video, we will discuss Oslo Accord, Second Intifada, Second Lebanon War, and 2021 May crisis. Take care. Bye.